Indeed there, and in with me in the studio is Michel Roux Jr, the patron at the two-star Le Gavroche in central London, and who once we appeared together on a quiz show, which the less said about that, the better. Lovely to have you with us. What do you think about the Michelin star system?
Well, for me, the system still works and the book still works. It's held in high esteem not only from the professional chefs, but also from, I feel, foodies and people who enjoy, eating out. It may not be a great book to have on your bedside table because it's not very interesting to read, and there are other guidebooks that are. But I still think that it does represent the best, and it is, I think, always there or thereabouts.
And what about the accusation from Marco Pierre White that, frankly, they're dished out like confetti and meaningless now?
Well, let's not forget Marco was an absolute genius. I mean, he was a fantastic chef. He is now a restaurateur and has given back his stars. But in those days, when he did have his 1, 2 and 3 Michelin stars, there were far less good restaurants about. That's just fact. There are now so many more great restaurants and great British talent, which I think is very, which is amazing, and we should embrace that.
Right. And do you think though that the Michelin star system is old-fashioned in terms of the sort of cuisine it is prepared to reward? I.e., if you are fairly conventional, you've got a better chance of, with little amuse-bouches and all the rest of it, of getting those stars than if you're something a bit way out there.
My personal view on this is that maybe 10 years ago that was the case, and the Michelin Guide was maybe came under that, under fire with that kind of cuisine that was expected, or that the customers ultimately expected. And I think, the chefs had a lot to answer for there. And I think the biggest issue here is that chefs chase those Michelin stars. They cook for the guidebooks, they cook for the food journalists, rather than cooking for the ultimate arbiter, which is their customers. And I think that food always improves. I see it as a chef. If I cook for my customers and they come back, they're happy. That's the proof of the pudding. Right.
What about the idea that actually it served its time, the Michelin Guide? Because we can go on TripAdvisor, we can look at see what real people have said when they've been in Le Gavroche or wherever it happens to be and said, I thought the service was great, I thought the service stunk, I thought the food was awful, I thought the food was great.
I'm not a great fan of food blogs. TripAdvisor has its place. And I'd like to believe that all people that read TripAdvisor or use TripAdvisor, I use TripAdvisor, I must say, read in between the lines, because sometimes...
What do you mean by that?
Well, because some of the negative reviews need to be taken with a pinch of salt, and you need to read between the lines. But it is a great tool. But not forgetting the Michelin Guide has modernised itself. It has most definitely now, it has an app, it has a website, you can use it online, you don't have to buy that big red book, which is pretty difficult to manoeuvre around and to, so it has modernised.
Michel, tell me this, do you know when the Michelin guy is in the restaurant and you suddenly say, call through to the kitchen, but make a special effort, the top guy's here?
No, absolutely not. They are the inspectors are totally anonymous. But
you've been doing this for so long, I bet you know most of them.
Yeah, well, they do change. And what they do, and this is they actually take the inspectors from another country, so from Germany or France or even Tokyo, Hong Kong, will come and review your restaurant here in England and vice versa. So they do change a lot. It is anonymous. Yes, occasionally we will recognise the boss because he's always, recognisable. But there are certain traits that an inspector will always have. And that's not just the Michelin Guide, but also all the other guides as well.
Presumably they come in eating by themselves, do they? Is that which always...
Not necessarily.
Oh, really?
No. They can come as a 2, and that counts as 2 visits.
Right, OK. Tell me this. So, you know the Michelin Guide. Do they give you advance notification that what's going to happen to you, or do you have to wait for the night before publication and then kind of open it and see, have I got 2 stars? Am I down to 1? Am I up to 3?
Well, they do warn you if you are going up or down with a phone call, but I suppose you're alluding to the fact that there's been a leak recently,
sure.
Well, another leak, especially in France with the Michelin Guide just coming out. Yes, is it a PR stunt, letting a little bit of news out before? It's good for sales. who knows?
Yeah, but it matters to you, and it matters to your business and your turnover, whether you've got 2 stars or 1 star, and presumably it affects how you can price things as well.
I suppose so, but most of the 3 Michelin-starred restaurants struggle to make money because it is a massive investment. I mean, a huge investment. And so a lot of the 3-star Michelin restaurants have other restaurants, so brasseries and other interests to raise income, to subsidise almost the restaurant. And a lot of Michelin-starred restaurants, or 3 Michelin-starred restaurants, are actually in hotels, so they're subsidised. Some of the cost is subsidised by the hotel.
Why? Because it is so ruinously expensive to try to produce food that will give you 3 stars, and so labour-intensive and all the rest of it.
Well, the Michelin Guide will always say that it's ultimately what's on the plate, and that is true. They do stick to that. But as a restaurateur and as a diner, I do know that I would far rather have my beautiful food, beautifully cooked food, presented in a beautiful crockery and have my top quality wine in a wonderful crystal glass.
Michel, absolutely fabulous to have you with us in the studio. Thank you very much. Good luck. Continue the success of La Gavroche and all your cooking ventures. Great excitement in the studio that you were coming in today. So thank you very much indeed for making the time to be with us. Global will be back in a few moments' time and, of course, the latest from Ukraine. Do stay with us.